We're here with Derek Espiritu.
Yeah, when I got into security, it was like a whole new world.
Yeah, nice.
That's pretty good, man.
It's not going to take our jobs. People that use AI will take our jobs.
You see, that's why I like Derek, because he says things that I also say.
AI is not going to replace jobs. You'll be replaced by people who use AI.
And so
How can we enable? If the rest of the company sees security as an enabling team, then they'll understand where we're coming from. They'll be a lot more easier to work with, but also just have the same vision to build a better platform in general.
what are we eating for lunch? And be like, okay, yeah, we'll start with a salad. And I'm like, oh, great. Like, I mean, I eat salad. It's just tomatoes and onion. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I hated tomatoes, right?
Yeah.
And so I did it for a while and I would put salt. I'm like, okay, I can do it. And then I think I hit a breaking point and I'm like, no más. No lo voy a hacer. Nunca jamás. I'm not going to do it. And so for a while, I was against the raw tomato, which is a vegetable. No?
It's definitely a fruit.
It's a vegetable. How
It's
dare
my
you?
favorite fruit of them all.
How dare you,
Makes
Derek?
me uncomfortable.
Okay, we have, yes. So like, I don't know. But you know what? I've brought them back. I introduced them. It's really brought me and my wife together, because yeah, I mean, it's just, we're reaching new heights, because of like raw tomatoes are back on the menu.
So
for
I have
us.
to like overcompensate for my wife. She hates everything on her hamburger. So she
really?
just likes the meat, the bun, and ketchup. So I always have to
It's
go
like
up to
my
In-N-Out
6-year-old.
every time at any place. It's not just In-N-Out, it's any place. I have to say, okay, one with everything on it, because I'm like, I gotta overcompensate and just eat everything. And then I said, and one with just meat, ketchup.
Well, don't you go like protein style? Because you're like Mr.
Yeah.
Fitness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I only do the lettuce wrap because I actually like it better.
Nice.
I don't know why, but
Yeah. People who are just listening to this audio, we're here with Derek Espiritu, right? How do we say it? Like I was gonna say it. Like how do you say it? Like your last name?
The American way is Espiritu. The Tagalog way, Espiritu.
Espiritu.
Yeah, it could be anything with a little rolling of the R, basically. Espiritu. Like,
Okay. I'm okay. Okay, so we'll go Derek E.
Yeah. Oh, you say it right. It's
Derek
fine.
Espiritu. Yeah. Hey, what a freaking awesome podcast this is going to be. And I encourage you guys, if you're listening on the audio, come take a look at Derek. He is very fit. He is very handsome.
Stop.
Yeah. He's very handsome. He has, man, this guy, dude,
Really nice hair.
All right.
really nice hair.
The story of why I got fit, okay? This was 2020.
2020.
It was right during the pandemic, like right before the pandemic.
Sure.
I realized I had gained some weight and I was about to be a dad, right?
Like 8 pounds or something. Like
But my wife got pregnant. I said, I don't really want to have a dad bod. I want to be a little more fit. But then the pandemic happened and just like, I can't go to the gym. So my wife said, Derek, I want you to go run outside. I said, really? Okay. And she's like, I want you to run with your shirt off. I said, why? And she said, I want you to be tanner than me by like a lot.
Okay.
So
Is your
now-
wife pretty tan?
Oh, she's
No.
very, very fair skin. So it's
Okay.
not. It doesn't take a lot for her to be like for me to be a little bit tanner than her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it took one running session. I was tanner, but then on, she's like, yeah, just run outside. So from then on, I've been just running outside, and
Me and
what I
Keaton
do.
are just imagining what is that like
Right?
for Derek to run. Okay,
You
anyway.
mentioned before we started rolling that you ran like almost 7 miles this morning. Do you do that like every morning?
Not every morning. So I run. So I used to run 3 times a week.
Okay.
And now I switched and I work out 4 times a week
All right.
with weights, and then I switched to like 2 times running. But I do it just to go explore the neighborhoods that I'm in because I don't ever see my neighborhoods besides running around, and I want to go see where I live, and so it's fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Me and Derek, like we went to lunch last week at Black Hat, which was awesome. We should talk a little bit about that, right? But Black Hat was awesome. But Derek did protein style everything, and I was like, man, I got to do something. He was just inspiring me. And then you know what he did? He ordered bread pudding.
Oh my god! It was like a cheat day. It was a good cheat day, man. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like the best French toast I've ever had. Except this one was just entirely full of sugar, and it hit my stomach like a rock. The rest of the day, because Kenny left like after. I felt so bad just like walking it off. It felt like
it was rough.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. No, that was a great event. All right, so here we are. So we've got into this. This is so good. This is how it should be. No structure. Here we go. So Derek Espiritu, Derek, guys, is a rising star in the cyber community, and we're gonna talk a little bit about your journey getting into security. Derek, I want to hear all about this. I also want to talk about a little bit about Labelbox, where you're at right now in AI and in some of those things, right? So let's just kind of go. So hey, tell us a little bit about your start getting into cyber. How did that happen? Mm-hmm. You can start wherever you want.
So let's start with just a little freshman. Actually, starting my freshman year, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I think I wanted to be a dentist. I wanted to be a lawyer.
I could see you being a dentist.
I don't think I would be. Apparently, I don't like blood. Yeah. I don't like the needles. I don't like doing that. So that's what.
Never mind.
But as I was trying to figure out in college, let's see, I didn't get into the advertising program. And it hit me really hard that I just wanted to be, because it's what my sister had done. And I was like, okay, I want to follow her path. I want to figure it out. Didn't get in.
You're at BYU, right?
I was at BYU.
Okay.
I feel like I wasn't creative enough. It's fine. And I felt really down. Like I was at a very low point.
Okay.
And I had a call with my cousin, who's my mentor. He's basically tutored me in everything that I've done when it comes to just technology in general. Mm-hmm. And he calls me up and he says, "Why are you being dumb? Just go into IT." I said, "Wow, thanks. I didn't get into this program."
Yeah.
He's like, no.
Wise.
No. Let me tell you, what I've learned here and the people that I've associated in the program, because he was only 2 years older than me, it's been amazing. I think you'd love it and you'd really like it. And the money's not bad. He said, I said, okay. And it was the money's not bad part that really got me going. Right. I was excited. So I did the IT program, and this is coming from somebody that I thought all MacBooks couldn't get viruses.
Okay.
That was the way my upbringing when my parents is
oh,
that's
not true?
Yeah, they don't get viruses. So I think my password included a 1, 2, 3, 4 at the time. I had no idea about it. But with IT, as I took the classes, I was very, what the heck am I learning? I have no idea what an OS is. I have no idea what Linux is. Tell me what this is.
Linux. Yeah. I like that. What is Linux?
Yeah, what is Linux? And that actually, one of my points with cybersecurity, I feel like this is important, is that I mooched off my teammates so much in school. And holy cow, you didn't want me on your group projects, at least in the beginning, because I had no idea what I was doing and I was Googling everything. But then I would rely on them just to be like, hey, give me a quick answer, because that's what I was always looking for. I wasn't really patient. I was saying, just give it to me now. I want to know how to do it, instead of breaking it, fixing it, and figuring out the problem. I'd rather be I want an instant fix. Mm-hmm. That evolved a little bit in my senior year. Thankfully, I changed a little bit, but man, if somebody wants to break into cybersecurity or just security in general, don't do that. Mm-hmm. You got to be very mindful about how you learn, and that failure is inevitable. It's not even an option. It's just inevitable, and yet you just got to keep pushing through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're just finding your path. Mm-hmm. You're finding your path. And you learn that, viruses can actually impact a MacBook. You hear people saying Linux. What's Linux? Oh, you mean Linux? No.
I just know about LSCD, just going my way around there.
That's right. Okay. And so you're evolved. So I think you went into consulting, right? Didn't you do that for a little
Yeah.
bit? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So
Or you
after
whenever
after
you want.
work, after I graduated, I actually switched to cybersecurity because I found it pretty fascinating. I really I like helping people and helping people keep things secure. That was even better. Like not just IT. So I switched because they just made the major like my year. So
Oh, cool.
my senior year, I switched immediately, and I was one of the first graduating classes of cybersecurity, which was pretty awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Nice.
So I went to Symantec, then consulting was after that. But
Nice. So did you stay here in Utah
Yep. Both,
for Symantec?
Yeah.
Because they.
all of my career has been in Utah so far, but
Yeah.
for California companies.
Yeah.
So
I actually worked for a while doing Symantec stuff.
Oh, really?
With encryption stuff. Yeah. And all this. I did that for a while,
Yeah.
as a consultant. Cool company.
oh, great company. That's where I learned.
Especially for cyber, right?
Yeah, seriously, it's one of the best. They got acquired by Broadcom, which is why I started to look for different spots, and that's why I ended up consulting.
Okay.
And
What did you learn? How did you take what you learned at Symantec to go into consulting? What did you get out of consulting?
I got out of consulting. First is that the people are just fantastic, and there's always a project in mind that you want to have you should have an end goal with your customers. That way that they can feel satisfied and you can feel satisfied with your work too. You're not just trying to do as many billable hours. You're making something more efficient. You're building something. You're creating something.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
like the anti-consulting model. So that was your experience,
That was
right?
my experience. I liked it.
Amazing.
I think that if you want to learn security quickly, consulting is really one of the best ways to go because you just are on so many projects. It's pretty broad, but with each different customer, it's a specific thing.
Yeah, you're getting a little nuance added to the broad knowledge base. That's awesome. That's what I couldn't agree more. Right? A lot of people trying to break into cyber. Where do I go? Guess what? Consulting firms always need people.
Yep.
And you get all that training and you get cool projects because people are winning those. Unfortunately, right, when you're a consultant, what happens in the industry, I don't know if this was your experience, Derek, but like consultants, they get the problems that people don't want to deal with.
Yes.
Right? Because they're hard. They don't really know how they're going to do it. And so they say, let's just hire a consulting firm. And then someone like you comes in and you actually have to figure it out and solve the problem, which is so hard, right? But it's great because you just get this great problem that just sucks, that no one wants to figure out. And so now you get to go do it.
Yep. One of my most valuable lessons I learned from that was battle planning before coming up with anything to the customer. Oh my gosh.
Tell us about that.
Let's see. I was doing like vendor management or just security questionnaires and just like trying to figure out a process to do it. Because I didn't have experience in it yet, I asked, I think, our customer about it. And that's when my consulting, coworker, he pulled me aside. He's like, hey, let's discuss together first. That way we have a solution to their problem before like discussing the problem with them. Because that way that's what we're supposed to do as consultants. We are supposed to go with a fix rather than, hey, this is an issue, like help us fix the issue.
But I would push back on that. I think that it's good that you go and talk to them and find out where the pain is, right? Because you really do need to understand what is the pain. I do understand that mentality of saying like, no, we can never be wrong. But I mean, honestly, I think your approach is like refreshing, right? It's just like, hey, I actually don't know. We're just going to figure this out together. But I'm smart enough, right? And we can figure it out, right? But you definitely need to understand the problem.
Yeah.
So if you go, what happens like as consultants, your senior probably was already kind of familiar with the problem that they're facing, right? And
that's why.
Yeah.
It's more like that.
but still, it is important to be curious, which I feel like is lacking in cyber because it's like I already know, so you got to get curious about the business.
I'm curious. So after you graduated college, was it hard to get that job in consulting, or was it something that
Man,
Symantec probably helped.
Yeah, Symantec helped, but oh my gosh, my whole career I've just been, I would say, like lucky, but it's the people that I've known. So after I graduated, I think it was job searching for maybe 3 months before I graduated. No, I was searching like 6 months before I was graduated, but I didn't find something until about 2 months before I graduated. But when it came to Symantec, I found I got a referral from somebody that worked there, and they were like my teammate on a project at BYU. So that's how
that's awesome.
They put a referral for me. And then when it came to Anglepoint, it was, I don't know, man. I don't feel like my resume reflected what they needed exactly, but when I interviewed, I was able to like connect with the right people.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to learning everything at a consultancy, like, I think it was pretty hard to get in. It was just, I guess that some recruiter looked at my resume in the exact right light, because I don't feel like, looking back at it now, I don't think that it would have been like an easy yes. But I don't know. So
Sure.
it was good though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy I got in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'll go, okay, man. All right. So you go there, you're doing consulting, and you work at Anglepoint for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the name of the consulting
Yes.
company? And then from there, you had a little stint at Adobe, right? Like
Yep.
after I'd left, right?
Yeah, exactly. We missed each other just a little bit. So this is a pretty fun story. Adobe was the place I wanted to go right after BYU, but oh my gosh, I was so underqualified. It was not even funny. Like, I did not have the
Sure
technical.
you were fine.
I don't think I had any of the technical know-how, and I didn't have really any experience. So I would always apply to tons and tons and tons of Adobe jobs, but I never even got a response. Usually just full rejections every time. But at Anglepoint, that's when I started learning like really specific security compliance with SOC 2, ISO, and then like vendor management, vulnerability management, just various things that are actually applicable to things that I wanted to. But before I even started at Anglepoint or Symantec, I did a job shadow at Adobe. And I got that through my uncle works at Adobe, and he's like, hey, do you want to look with somebody that's in information security? I said, yes, please. I want to go in. So I go in, I job shadow for a day, and I see the job. I don't really understand what they do with the job, but I was like, yeah, this is awesome. And he offers me, he's like, hey, we could probably intern you if we get headcount. They don't end up getting headcount. I'm sad. Fast forward to Anglepoint, I'm just like being a little consultant, not doing, like trying to learn, and I see this job open up and I apply for it. And it's the exact same job I job shadowed for.
Oh, sick.
Which was pretty crazy. And the guy that had job shadowed for me had moved on and was a new manager. So they didn't know that I had job shadowed.
Interesting.
But at Anglepoint, I used something called the Adobe Common Control Framework. And somebody here created it. I didn't know this, but I used that in some projects because I'm like, this is open source. Yeah. I'm going to use it if it's open source. So I used that to help out with a project with a customer. And I used that during the interview at Adobe. I said, hey, I've used this before. And they liked that.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting the job at Adobe. And then, it just all turned out really good. I felt like, again, I got pretty lucky, but it was through people that I knew and things lining up with the things that I've learned about just security in general.
That's cool. Yeah.
So cool.
We were just talking about that in our one of our prior episodes was, how it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's SOC 2 or whether it's FedRAMP or ISO 27001 or PCI, there's going to be a lot of common ways that you're going to implement security because cyber risk is all about how do we protect this data. So they're all asking for the same things. It's just certain regimes are going to ask for something a little more detailed.
Yep.
Right. Which is definitely the case with FedRAMP, right? It gets a little bit more detailed, right?
Just a little bit.
Big time, quite a bit.
That was one of my projects as a consultant is FedRAMP or just getting them ready. Thankfully I left right before they went into full FedRAMP mode. I said, I don't know if I want to, because that's like, I think I got blasted with just some of the 800 control. I know there's more, but
ultimately,
it was
There's so many freaking requirements, but at the end of the day, you know, we're learning a lot ourselves at Paramify. There's a lot of documentation for a reason. But at the same time, it's a lot of repeat. It's a lot of repeat.
Also repeating.
So yeah. So tell us. Okay, cool, man. All right, man. So your role, you're at Labelbox right now.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, and then your role there right now.
All right, so I gotta throw this out there. Labelbox is a data-centric AI platform for building intelligent applications created by our marketing program. That little statement. That's the easiest way to explain what Labelbox is. But
Okay.
the simplest way is that we are creating the AI for like all the data that needs to be trained so that the AI can understand what's actually going on and what it needs to do, what it needs to be functioning as. That's what we do.
Okay, so you'll see a set of data, and you put a label on that, right? So you'll say like, "Hey, I've seen this data before. That's this, right? That's a car. That's a person. That's a dog, right?
Yes,
the kinds
exactly.
of data, right? And so you label that, which is really important for machine algorithms, to use.
And if just like for a large language model like ChatGPT, that's got to be going through like trillions of data points that need to be trained, at least initially. It needs to be trained like that, but
It needs to have a general awareness of what's going on. And so Labelbox kind of does that.
Yes.
Right. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's awesome. It's a SaaS platform, right? So security is important.
Yes.
Right. Therefore, right.
That's why I joined, actually. I wasn't really looking for it. Let's see. What really impressed me was that the security program that they had in place already was that they got SOC 2 audited, and they passed in I think it was after their first year of being in being a company, which is almost unheard of. Like, that's really fast to be fully SOC 2 type 2 audited and pass. And then I looked at the security page and I said, wow, they got a really great foundation here. It's not where we're starting from ground zero, but we're starting from just a really good place that we could get this
So security
really
was important for Labelbox at the very beginning.
Security and privacy has always been extremely important since the beginning, since almost inception of the company, which is why I got interested.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing you're asking about my role, right? About what I do.
Yeah.
So my full title right now is the Senior Information Security Risk and Compliance Analyst, which it's basically I'm a security program manager, and I go and make sure that we're all secure, and I really help with the audits that we go through. So we just got ISO 27101 certified, which was
27,001, right? There are so many numbers.
Yeah,
right?
27,001.
Yeah.
There's a lot. We just did that. We just got through our SOC 2 audit. It's been fun, collaborating with the entire Labelbox team to make sure that we get those done.
What are the biggest pain points there that you run into, right? With doing some of the big ones, right? What are some of the big ones?
Big ones with just compliance in general is just getting all the evidences in, which we have a platform right now. It helps us a lot.
Yeah, Drata, right?
Yeah, we're using Drata.
Sweet.
I really have liked using them just because it's a simple drag and drop of a screenshot, and it's easy to know when something needs to be updated rather than it's just as long as I know what's going on, it's fine. But Drata has made it a lot easier to do it.
Totally. It's so much better to be doing it today versus
Oh man, I was on the ISO preparedness for just as a consultant. It was so bad. Okay, where's this evidence?
Obvious
where's
problem.
And it's in the Excel sheet.
Yeah.
No.
Props to Vint and Drata and literally every other company that I've seen is doing that. That's cool though. So more and more that will do. Okay, so there's that. What else? What else is a friction point?
Other friction points are so currently. Yeah, as we're building out, it's just identifying what needs to be prioritized over everything.
Okay.
So this is one of the points I wanted to do. Engineering has extremely limited bandwidth when it comes to building anything, and they got so many things that they're working on. Just when it comes to product, that how do I prioritize security?
Yeah.
Right?
Because like security is not, I mean, it kind of is revenue because it's like a revenue, like when you get a SOC 2 sticker or if you get like an ISO sticker that enables more revenue. But you really, you know, your companies are just like expect you to have that, right? They expect you to have that. So people who are engineering, they're building things based on what's our roadmap to get more money, right? More revenue. And so you come in and you're like, how do I prove that? How do I convince them that this is really important, right?
Yeah.
So,
Business purpose, business use. I've learned like why, like what's the why behind this? And once I get backing from that, then I can go for it. But
are there any like angles that have been really helpful in helping people kind of get past that? How do you get them to understand the why? How do you get aligned with them? What's your process for that?
Firstly, they like me as a person.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, that just they know that the security team at Labelbox is scrappy. Like we're in to win it with them. That's the main thing. It's not like I'm trying to throw on a project on you because I don't want to do it. It's more because I'm passionate about Labelbox. I don't want us to get breached. I understand that we have other projects but this is why we should prioritize, but not it should be prioritized right here, but not above your other project that you're doing. So that's how I work with it.
And what kinds of things do you do to kind of help them succeed, you know, with security, right?
With security, usually when it comes with the problem, I try to have a solution ready for them. I say, this is what needs to be fixed, rather than please fix it.
Right.
And just not doing any of the due diligence, not doing any of the groundwork of how. But I try, for instance, just like with a vulnerability, I'll say like, hey, I think this is how we can fix it. Not that I'm extremely technical as a security engineer or a security engineer, but I said like, hey, according to my research, this is how it could be done if we can fix it, if we could do that.
Yeah.
So that's one way. And then if we really need to, there's always that compliance backing. Like, hey, this is like a SOC 2.
You have to do this.
It's like we have to do this, or else we're gonna get
Yeah.
an exception, and that's gonna reflect badly on the security program, and eventually, just like Labelbox as a whole.
Yeah.
Right. We don't do that often because I feel like the Labelbox engineering team is pretty good. Like, it's pretty awesome. Like they have really good attention to detail. But when it does come up, they jump right on it.
Yeah, that's super rare. So it's super rare to have that. That's awesome. I feel like it's really fun. Like when you get an engineer that pushes back, like, hey, like, so like what happens if I don't do this? We get an exception, and that's really bad. And I'm thinking of like that Jurassic Park meme, you know, where like, hey, he's got an exception in his report. Nobody cares. They think that's good. They think that's good, but yeah, that's funny. That is a challenge. How do you get people to care? And for the most part, I found that people want to do the right thing. Developers want to do the right thing. So it's so crucial that you find how this helps them, or you know, how this helps the company, right? So it's such a challenge, and I'm glad you mentioned that, right? So
just one more point on that.
Yeah.
My team, like, I think my manager, she was able to say something that pretty like drove home. Like, instead of being a blocker as security, which it is seen as that sometimes, just because
it totally is a lot of times.
How can we enable? Like, if they see us, if the rest of the company sees security as an enabling team, then they'll understand where we're coming from. They'll be a lot more easier to work with, but also just have the same vision to build a better platform in general. So
where do you guys enable, right? Where does security enable? Like how operationally does it improve things? Yeah, so another part of my job is that I'll help with the customer side if they have any security questions. So I created the security documentation package. It was actually right there, so I helped enhance it a little bit. And then so they don't have to do that. So that they don't have to. So the salespeople are just, hey, we have this, and I can say, okay, I don't want to fill out this 800 questionnaire. So I have all these things that I've given to you, so that we can save time on both sides. Yeah, and I find that, you know, from a security perspective, a lot of times the way that you design good software helps operationally too. Tyler at PARAMIFY right now does some really ingenious things for really focusing on how do we make this process simple? How do we make this particular aspect of the application, how do we make this simple? And a lot of that, I mean, he doesn't think of it as doing security. It's just like, this is just good design, right? So when security professionals think of good design, that's going to improve security.
Yep.
Quite a bit.
Yep.
Cool, man. So Derek, how has your perspective on security transformed as you've journeyed, through this role? Has it transformed at all, or what do you think?
It started off where, again, the MacBook thing. Right? I didn't even know. There's just so many things about security that I didn't know. And I think it drove home to me was that I had grandparents that were kind of technically savvy, compared to other grandparents, I guess. But they were still a little behind. I still had to teach them some of the things. And for me, I'm like, geez, people don't know how to really secure an endpoint, secure a laptop, let alone secure an entire server, entire platform. So
because they don't care, man.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't. And then I read all these breaches. So there's that healthy little bit of paranoia of how can I keep things secure, and what am I thinking about so that other people don't have to worry about it instead.
Yeah. So make them succeed. Make it easy for them to succeed, right? Put up, on your trampoline, put it in the ground, or put some bars around it, right? And a net around it, so you can have fun, you can do your thing, but how do we make it so it's like, oh yeah, you're going to succeed here. It's such a challenge, right? Because you're focused on, okay, you have your customers that you're concerned about, right? You want to make sure that their data is secure, right? But then you also have, your partners, right? And you're helping them help the broader goal, right, of protecting data.
So I think back when I first started, it just looked like chaos, but now it's beautiful chaos, or at least organized chaos to me. We can prioritize things, and it's what does matter most to the company as a whole. That's what we'll go and target first, and then what really matters to customers, and then what matters to employees. All these, what matters to people. Right. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. All right. Keaton, what's up? Do you have something, or do you want to shift gears into Star Wars and Lord of the Rings?
I do. I am a little curious. So you're someone who works with an AI company. You work in security. How do you think AI will affect the security or the cybersecurity landscape as it evolves, say, in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, this is what I've been, some of the stuff that I learned at Black Hat and DEF CON were just directly about this. First of all, it's not going to take our jobs. It's not going to take over the world. That's not, at least for 10 years. But I think AI is here to enhance our lives. In every aspect of it is, but specifically cybersecurity. I went to a whole talk that was about malware analysis and reverse engineering. And that was extremely fascinating. It broke down the code from assembly, which is entirely unreadable. And then it transferred it from assembly into C to C# to then Python, and then added comments.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
ChatGPT did all that.
Yeah.
That's just an enhancement, and it's going to save so much time.
Right.
So it's not going to take our jobs. People that use AI will take our jobs. So if you're not using it, you got to figure out a way to implement this fast, because the growing industry is AI is just here to enhance all aspects of the jobs.
You see, that's why I like Derek, because he says things that I also say, and so I agree with him. Right? I agree with him.
I think somebody asked me.
I just feel like we're just gonna agree all the time. I'm like, yes, I like it. Echo.
They said, "Is this Skynet?" What? Okay, I haven't seen all the Terminators all the way through. Is it Skynet?
Shame on you. Yeah, it is.
Is it Skynet or Wall-E? Is that our AI future? I said, neither one, man. It's just we're the ones controlling it. We're the ones creating these AIs, but thankfully, we're gonna get just as smart as along with AIs too. So,
do Do you think there's any possibility for like a negative outcome? Or are you 100% certain?
If we 100% rely on AI, yes. We look at the facts of like it created the hallucinations and it created the precedent, like the false precedences, right?
Absolutely, it could go wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it could be bad. And we need to be cognizant of that. It could be really bad. And there will be some bad outcomes from it. There already are, right? But I agree with you. It's definitely AI does enhance our productivity. So for us, like all of us are using it in some way, shape, or form. We're using it for coding. We're using it for messaging. We're using it for like literally everything. And so we are so much more productive, all of us, right? So there are certain jobs that aren't needed.
Oh yeah.
Right there are those, but that's what's great is that those jobs were terrible. Those jobs absolutely sucked, right? They're like mind numbing. And so use AI to do the things that are just not important. How can you get into the creative genius space for every employee? And I feel like AI does that for us. Everybody has an area where they're operating, with their creative genius. And if you can find that, that's where you operate and just amazing things get created, is what I've found. And so we can, just one thing you can do is enumerate the things that you're doing throughout your day. Take kind of like an audit, right? Audit, what are the things that I did in my calendar? And you can say like, did this suck energy away from me? Did this suck? Was this like a little Dementor that was just sucking all my happiness away? And so find all the little Dementors, in your catalog, and then find out, well, can AI do that? Can I delegate to someone? Or maybe someone actually likes manual documentation or maybe someone actually likes doing things that you just can't imagine. And you can delegate those out. A lot of times you can delegate that to AI, right? And then it allows you to get into your creative genius mode where you're just like, oh my gosh, I love compliance. And you just get your headband on and you're like, this is so fun. I love this, Anyways, okay, so
that actually is me.
Yeah.
No, I really do like compliance.
I know, man. I told you this would be good. I told you.
I blast some Spotify and it's just like, let's look at these controls, and it actually gets me kind of pumped.
Okay, so you're blasting Spotify. So is that like Taylor Swift, or what is the one?
I always love Taylor Swift, man.
Yeah.
Let's see, but there's too much Disney that I listen to.
Oh, really?
And then I actually listen to a lot of musicals.
Oh, really?
Some great let's see.
So you were doing acting for a little bit too?
In high school, my claim to fame was in junior high. I was Aladdin. So.
Oh, really?
Oh,
yeah.
Let's go.
I thought
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I can.
Why did they pick you?
Why did they pick me?
Yeah.
The real reason or the fake reason, like the PC.
The real reason, right? No. Do it. You just gotta say.
I was the only one that had this face.
Yeah, but you were probably also pretty fit when you were little, right? No?
Well, I was like a little skinny.
Okay.
But yeah, it was.
Should
it
we
was
sing
blast.
it? I'll be Jasmine. You can.
Yeah. When I was, oh my gosh.
Imagine.
Oh my goodness. I'll say that. Yeah, when I got into security, it was like a whole new world.
Yeah, nice.
That's pretty good, man.
Oh, man.
That's pretty good. Okay, so Disney, Star Wars, good or no?
Star Wars is amazing.
Yes.
I love Star Wars.
Finally.
10.
Yes.
Wait, have you had people on here that don't like Star Wars?
Dude, there are so many haters, man.
What?
For me, I always say this: Star Wars, when it's good, is really good.
Yeah.
And when it's bad, it's still pretty good. Because it still has a lightsaber that goes off. I love it, man. When's Ahsoka coming out?
When's Ahsoka? August 23rd.
Yeah?
I think.
Dude, I'm going to
I
check
think.
my
That's exciting.
sources, man. Okay.
I love all Star Wars. I'll watch it all, but
Good.
You have a
What's your
favorite
favorite
movie?
episode?
my favorite movie. So, sadly, I grew up on the prequels, but I like the prequels, but people don't really like the prequels. I like the Attack of the
that's
Clones.
okay.
It's not amazing, but I think I really like. I like. Oh my gosh, Return of the Jedi is probably one of my favorite.
Yeah, man.
It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
this epic, fantastic ending
Yeah,
that
yeah.
continues on
Yeah, and just
after, which I'm like, mechanically, can we just like cut it off there sometimes? But that's
yeah.
okay. It's fine.
give
They're
me
figuring
more.
it out.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So Star Wars, good. Lord of the Rings.
Amazing. I love Lord of the
Okay.
Rings. So I'm
So,
actually a pretty
yeah.
big bookworm. I haven't read Lord of the Rings yet.
Oh no.
I read The Hobbit.
I read it when I was
but-
little.
Let's see. I think I stopped reading Lord of the Rings after he.
The Ents talk.
No, I
was
think
such
he
a
described
long-
like he was world building for like 40 pages,
Yeah.
and it was describing trees, describing like buildings. And I said, I'm gonna
Yeah,
watch the
man.
movies.
Yeah.
Fell in love with the movies, so it's okay.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
I do love the movies.
I never read the books or anything, but I watched the movies, and I love the movies. But I was in Oxford.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, like
Couple
last
days
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
literally a couple days ago. Yeah, and the books were written by Tolkien. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and supposedly he stayed in the same college I was in.
No
and,
way.
like, yeah, started writing some of his books there, and yeah, I just thought it was
You're like,
fascinating.
yeah, when you're eating their food, you're like, oh my gosh, this is where they got the idea for like the orc food. and everything like
Right?
that.
There's this one random bookstore in the Riverwoods in Provo, and it's like antique collectors. So we went there one night, me and my friends, back when I was in college, and the owner of the store came up and he's like, "Hey, do you guys like Lord of the Rings?" I said, "Yeah." And
Doesn't, man.
he
Like,
showed us
come
a
on.
first edition, and we got to hold it. And then he's like, "Do you want to see something even cooler?" He's like, "No, what? What do you got?" And he pulled out the one ring, and apparently there was one of 7 made, and he's like, "This is one of the rings from the set. Like they actually used it." I said, "I'm gonna hold it."
That's so
I acted
cool.
like I was Smeagol and Golem for a second.
Was it
was
heavy?
great.
Or no?
It wasn't too heavy,
No?
but it was interesting.
That's
Mine's
cool.
Mine's made out of rubber.
Yeah, me too. A little-
Did you guys hear about the One Ring Magic card that just sold for, what was it, like $2.6 million?
No way. What?
Yeah. There's only one ever created.
I'd only
so-
spend that much money on a Pokemon card, but
Yeah. Big Pokemon fan?
like when it comes to gaming, like that's why I like technology. So Pokemon and Zelda were the ones that I like my very first games.
Okay.
Like the
version.
original
Okay.
Zelda?
Oh yeah, well not the original Zelda, but
Yeah.
what's it called? Oh my gosh, Ocarina of Time, but I called
Yeah,
it Ocarina
classic.
of Time for
I was
a long
born
time.
in 82.
So like Link's Awakening.
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh. I didn't have Nintendo, but when I was growing up, I had a friend named Andy, and he was a little younger than me. But I was like, he has a Nintendo. So I'd go to his house, and I'd knock on the door and be like, "Hi, is Andy here?" And then, or I'd say like, "Hey, can Andy play?" And his mom would be like, "Andy's not here." And I'm like, "Can I play his Nintendo?"
I'm not gonna lie, I had a friend with a GameCube. That's exactly what I would do.
I have the same
for
thing, yeah.
something. We all have that friend. Oh my gosh, okay, it's not just me. we all had friends that didn't buy us the system, so we go over.
Yeah, he's moving. I'm like, shoot. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry to see you're moving. I like Andy. He's a good kid, man. Good kid. He's just
But-
younger, right?
Ultimate game that I will forever love, and it's my top game, is Super Smash Brothers.
Okay,
That's
like which
classic.
version? Do you like the new Switch version?
Yeah, we love the Switch version. When I say we, that's like me and my extended family.
Yeah, Switch version's
So-
nice. What do you like about it?
Yeah, let's see. We like the expansive characters, like the list, because it doesn't mean that you can just pick frickin' Ness the entire time and just wreck.
Yeah.
Let's see. It was Mario. We played all of them, but we all had specific characters.
Yeah.
But man, oh man, my cousin's really good with Rob.
Really?
Of all characters, he just destroys.
Ike.
We get scared, man.
I like Ike because he
Ike?
fights for his friends.
Dude,
I like Ike.
I like Link.
Link.
Link,
Yeah,
yeah.
Link's my
Link.
Yeah.
in the new
It's just a
version.
Kirby.
Too.
Kirby's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was my sister's go-to. They
Okay,
played
Kirby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zelda. Yeah. Man, this is so good. All right, man. So you're bookworm.
Mhm.
What book do our listeners not know about? I mean, we have by probably at least 3 listeners by now.
I'm sure. Hopefully. Maybe even
yeah.
4.
Maybe even 4.
Yeah. So what book recommendations do you have for our
Okay.
3 listeners.
So, man, I feel like this is just a shout out to BYU, this whole podcast, but Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. If you haven't read anything by Brandon Sanderson, this is a great one. The Stormlight Archives, just the first one to go to.
And what is it about? Is it about Star Wars, or what is it about?
Think of it as, oh man, I can't even compare it to anything. Basically, it's just an epic fantasy, and it has knights, blades. It's got incredible character growth, and just
what's that book again?
This one's called The Way of Kings, and I'll say this: there's like, I think he's only got 4 of. How many books is he making? I don't know how many of the series, but it's my favorite series. My friend showed it to me. It was like watching Netflix each night. Instead of reading,
really?
I would read for about 30 minutes a night because they're fatty books. They're like really thick books.
Yeah.
And I would read for 30 minutes and it'd be like an episode, and then I close the book. I'm like, okay, I can't wait to read this tomorrow night. It was just like my little ritual to help me go to sleep.
Got it.
But amazing series.
The Way of Kings.
The Way of
All right,
Kings.
man. Well, super cool, Derek. Thanks for joining us on this super random episode. As I thought, we stayed on topic for a while,
Mostly.
but I don't know. We started off with tomatoes. Isn't that what we were talking about?
Well, we went off topic and talked about like career in AI, and then we got back on topic with like
We
Lord of
talked-
the Rings and Star Wars.
Right.
Yes.
What's like
Fortunately.
the real like title of this podcast is gonna be nerds, like
No.
like great nerds.
Yeah, great nerds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even nerdy. It's life.
Yeah.
Nah, we'll make sure to make it cool. So, all right. Hey, thanks, brother. Thanks for coming
Thanks for
on,
coming
man.
on, man. This is awesome.